Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in the Wild podcast. Or if you're new here, welcome for the very first time. We're so happy to have you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
As you can see, we still don't have the intro nailed down. Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Who knows?
Well, we have a very exciting episode for me to bring to you guys this week. We're going to be talking about a little bit about law school in general, but mostly the meat and potatoes of the episode is going to be me sharing with all of my besties, the Friends in the Wild listeners, my favorite cases or like the craziest, most iconic cases that I've learned so far in law school. And please don't worry, I'm not going to go too deeply into the law. I'm going to keep it to the facts, keep it to the storytelling.
Keep it to the drama.
Yeah.
Keep it to the drama.
Exactly. We're just here for the drama. I know that you guys are only here for the drama. If you want to talk to me about these cases in a more like legal type of way, I'll be more than happy to. But I'll try to keep that to a minimum on the podcast.
I think this will be a very fun and niche episode.
I think so
And
too.
I hope that you're excited. I was pretty excited for my nursing episode, and I feel like it probably did not live up to the hype in my head. But
I think it did.
I think it's fun to talk about our passions and what interests us, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I love drama, so
Yeah, I want to take family law because that's going to be like
some tea.
divorces. I will say I have a couple of disclaimers to make once we kind of get into it, and a little bit of like background information. But this is basically what I've been thinking about for the past how long now? Like 8 months
Yeah,
ish. So
it occupies most of your brain
yeah,
capacity.
so I am really really excited about it for like my two worlds to collide.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
Also, very briefly, I had an interview the other day in which I mentioned that I had a podcast.
And that's brave. You are indeed braver than
I
I am.
know. But I did get the job, and I have a job now, so that's also exciting.
That is exciting.
Sorry if any like 1Ls are listening to this who are super stressed about jobs that don't have one yet. I know this is like a really touchy subject for all of us.
Couldn't be you.
So I apologize if I just triggered you, truly, because it is like everyone's stress levels are so high, and we've had midterms this week, so it's just crazy.
And on that note, guys, go fill out your application.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I literally have no idea what any of that is.
Everyone should go to law school.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but before that, we have a very huge development in one of our. We have like so many balls in the air that we're like, is that what it's called? Keeping balls in the air, keeping hats in the air. What's that saying?
I have no idea. We have so many horses in the race.
I get, yeah. I mean, we have lots of things going on that we talk about on the
That's all we're
podcast.
trying to say. So y'all know we've always got big things coming, but this one is equally exciting and terrifying all in the same.
This one we actually set a date for
and spent money on. So
yeah, go ahead and tell them.
We are running the half marathon in New York City.
Woohoo! At Central Park.
That feels so weird to say.
I know. Let's not say the date so people can't come kill us.
No.
I mean, there's not that many, so
Hold
they
us
can probably
accountable.
figure it out. Yeah. Or hold us accountable.
Like, just know that we paid, okay? That's all you need to know. And if it happens, it happens.
Mhm.
No, I'm kidding. So we have several months to train, but I mean, like, we've got to get on it. Like, it's not like a cushion. We've got,
Yeah.
we should have started probably like 2 months ago. But
we have a little bit, though. It's okay.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
pressing.
No. I'm really excited, though.
Me
This will
too.
be my first time going to New York.
That's so
And
crazy. I'm so incredibly excited.
I know, I am too. I took off like 3 days from work.
Did you?
I've got to mentally prepare. Physically
course.
prepare. So
Wait, so what days did you take off? Like
Well-
Monday or Thursday?
we're not telling them the date. So
I know, just like days of the week. It's on
Oh.
Saturday.
I took off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
Okay, perfect. Do you work on Sunday?
Monday.
Sort of like, surely you don't work the day out.
I will be crippled. I have a fear I'm going to be doubled over in the bed.
We'll be on the flight
Okay.
home, like not able to get up out of our seats.
We're going to need like wheelchairs on
Yeah.
and off the plane. But
we're
yes.
we're also so dramatic because it's a half marathon. Like, people run full marathons, you know?
Yeah, but this is, like, kind of a big undertaking. I literally wouldn't stop talking about it last night at work. I was sitting there and I had, like, a little baggie of chocolates. I had 2 little triangles of a Toblerone, and then Colin got me, like, these Ferrero Rocher squares. I had 2 of those. Well, I ate the 2 of the squares, and then it dawned on me that I'm running a half marathon, so I threw the other 2 pieces away. And I made sure to tell them. I was like, "I'm so accountable."
You're so self-disciplined. I love that about
Truly.
you.
Yeah, so just know that this will be our personality. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get cute outfits. Of course, our team name is Friends in the Wild. We will be running and representing. Obviously, why else would we do it? This is just strictly for content
It's
purposes.
strictly for content purposes. Forget our
But
health.
no, actually, I don't care about my health. So I'm
Clearly.
excited. I'm
Me too.
excited to delve into the world of running. I'm excited to like get all the little snacks that you need to eat and stuff.
Yeah.
Like while you're running, so you don't like pass out.
Um, I think Ryan was here the other day, and I just, like, always have stuff playing on my TV because let's just a very brief aside. I have never been the type of person to, like, hate silence, you know? But now, like, I have to have my heater running, I have to have, like,
Yeah.
some sound going on, and I don't like that. I wanna break that habit. But
Okay.
anyway, I always have Are you like that? Do you always have to have
Kind of.
noise?
Yeah, cause like, usually when I'm home, everyone's at work, so I'm usually home alone.
Yeah.
Um, no, I'm not.
It's a little too
Kidding.
quiet.
Um, but, like, during the day, you're just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
watch the TV," and at night, I'm becoming like a have to sleep with a sound machine girl.
Mhm.
Last night, a patient that we had on the floor who's, like, younger turned on a sound machine. I said, "That is a Gen Zer right there. Sound machine in the hospital, that is a Gen Zer." And it was so
Bringing
funny.
your sound machine to the hospital with you.
Your
Honestly,
hatch
though,
alarm.
that's probably when you need it the most.
Seriously, I was like, "That's groundbreaking,"
Yeah.
because there's no one sleeps.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Get
it was
that brown noise going. I love that for him or her.
yeah.
For your
So,
unidentified patient.
yes. Have an unspecified age and an unspecified location.
The Gen Z
Undisclosed.
thing was just a guess, okay?
Yeah, okay, I literally don't know anything.
Don't come after her, HIPAA.
Anyways,
Um,
guys, so exciting news, NYC half marathon. So, yeah, maybe we'll, like, make it a whole series or something on our TikTok, and probably not, but we'd love to say we would.
Probably not, but maybe.
Yeah,
We live for the hope of it all, if there's one thing about us.
that is so true.
But we have to run a half marathon because they are expensive to register for, so
Yes, they are, and, like, we're gonna have to buy plane tickets and a
yeah.
hotel. This is an investment.
And it's also just an excuse to go on a trip. We're doing a
Yeah.
destination half marathon for a reason.
Yeah, I would not be excited about running one, like, in Knoxville or something.
Yeah.
First of all, Knoxville's way too hilly.
So true.
I don't
You know
know
what?
what New York's like.
I'm not totally sure about the terrain of Central Park, but we'll see.
Yeah, we didn't add that detail. The whole half marathon is in Central Park, so
So excited.
I'm so excited too.
Me too. Yeah, it's gonna be so epic.
So
And
epic.
another thing is it's more fun, I think, to go on trips when you don't have, like, a ton of expendable income because 'cause you're trying to do everything so cheaply, and, like, for some reason, that makes it feel so much more fun, you
Like,
know?
trip to Boston, we were balling on a budget,
Yeah.
obviously.
Like, when you
Neither one of us had a job or something.
literally, when you have no money to do things and you're, like,
Yeah,
trying to live on, you know, whatever, $20 a day or it's just, like, it's so
yeah,
much more exciting. If you have an unlimited amount of funds, then, like, of course, you can go anytime you want.
yeah. It makes it more special because, like, hey, you worked for this money, and
Yep.
you're gonna be missing it when it's gone, so
So true.
I'm
So
excited.
enjoy it while you're spending it.
Yes. So, yeah, that's really the only life update we have, but
Yeah.
it's a big one.
It is a
One
big
to take note of.
we were also really nervous when registering. It was, like, really upsetting my nervous system a little bit.
Yeah, I made Laura Grace take the first steps, and send me her confirmation email that she did it. And then I did it, and I started sweating actually.
And Mallie's bank sent her a fraud notification.
You're like, surely this isn't you.
This does not sound right.
You okay? Doing a wellness check. I was like, unfortunately, that is me. But if you want to like deny it, I'm not gonna be mad. Like, actually cancel my card so I don't have to think about that ever again. You're right. I should have took that as a sign.
It's like AI pattern recognition does not recognize this as
Literally.
that's so
Does
funny.
not sound like you.
Um
But anyways,
okay, well, I don't think we have any other life updates. Things have been
no.
kind of boring. I have a spring break next week, which is not in the spring, but it's exciting nonetheless.
Yeah, that's literally February.
Yeah, not
That's
sure.
stupid. So we'll be going on our first run. We've been running separately a little bit, but we'll be going on our first run together probably.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that actually. I a moment of tenderness. I miss you so much. I feel like I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. Well, I miss you too, and I may cry.
Was getting a little bit teary-eyed too. No
Please
lie.
don't. No, I literally have tears.
Oh man.
A moment of tenderness. My eyes are swelling.
This is tenderness corner of our podcast.
This is so embarrassing.
So, really briefly, another topic that I have said before on the podcast is my Southern Charm addiction, the Charleston reality TV show on Bravo, has never been stronger. Between midterms and my Southern Charm addiction, I have time for nothing else. Like no sleep, no eating, unless it's plopped on my couch watching Southern Charm.
Is that what you were doing last night? Because you were up till the crack of dawn.
Yeah, well, and also I had stayed up all night studying 2 nights ago, so then the night my sleep schedule is so horrible. So the night before that, I slept for, like, 12 hours, so then I wasn't tired and, but now I'm, like, feeling okay, so I think I'm back to normal.
Good, good.
Anyways, so
Let's delve in.
let's delve in. Do you have any questions for me about law school in general?
Yeah, so these questions, it's not necessarily the same as like when I did my episode because you're not a lawyer yet. You're not in the workforce.
Yeah.
So I tried to make them about law school
Okay,
to
great.
the best of my ability. So, first question. What was the most challenging part about applying to law school?
Ooh, applying. That's a really good question. I think that the application process to law school, as you know from you were like knew all about, and honestly, the podcast was with me for like
I'm going to law school.
the podcast was with me through like most of that.
Yeah.
I definitely think it is the like mental challenge, especially if like you're taking the LSAT and you don't like your first score and you feel like you could have done much better, which is what happened to me. I ended up taking it twice and got a score that was much below like what I had been practice testing, and I was so discouraged, like
literally devastated.
down so bad over my LSAT score, my first one. And then I was like, okay, like I'll take it again, whatever. Signed up. I studied some because but I was just like so discouraged. Like that's the main word that I would use to describe how I felt. Because I knew that I could do better. Like I had done better on practice tests consistently. And then when I like got this score that was like, it was a fine score, but I like thought that I could do better. But it just made me think like, man, do I know nothing about myself? Like I have like self-assessed and this is what I thought I could do and I was completely wrong. So it was like a shot to not necessarily my ego, but like myself. I don't know, like how I perceived myself kind of. And then I took it again and I was like, okay, I'm smart. Just kidding.
Psych. That was
I'm
also
just kidding.
character development.
I'm just kidding. But I did feel like all of my like hours of hard work paid off the second time.
Yeah. I feel like just as an outsider's perspective, it was a lot of comparison. Like
Yeah.
you were just because literally the LSAT score is based off of how everyone else scores, so and schools take certain scores and like, oh, the people that go there score that, so I'm not as smart as them.
Yeah.
So and in your case, like you have lots of lawyers that you're exposed to, so
Yeah.
I can see how that would be like kind of awful.
Yeah,
to experience.
definitely. And a lot of them, like, I mean, Harvard and Yale, I feel like it's easy to say, like, "Oh, yeah, like, that's a different kind of people." But then if you, like, know people who are going to schools that are, like, right above you or whatever, then you're like, "Oh, man, like, I know that person." Do you know what I
Yeah,
does that make sense, kinda? Like,
yeah,
it seems, like, attainable, but that you didn't quite attain that.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's I know exactly what you mean.
But I'm very happy with where I am. I think it all ended up perfectly. But to answer your question succinctly, I would say it is definitely, like, the mental games that you have to play, not, like, to do the things, to actually, like, get it done, but to sit
Yeah,
with yourself after you get your scores back,
yeah.
honestly.
Which is a great segue to my next question, which was what was a non-negotiable for you when picking a school? What was like something that had to be at that school, or what like made you choose where you're at over others?
Yeah, this is a really good question. So something that I've noticed about myself and schools and law firms and whatnot, particularly while also looking for a job for the summer, is I like really, really value the culture at at the firm or at the law school or whatever. And I think that you can really, really tell that by how people respond to your emails, how the people at the school when I was applying would respond to my emails, how they would talk to me on the phone, the frequency that they would talk to me. And it's not that schools that, would take too long or whatever are bad schools, or they just weren't the right fit for me. And I think that you kind of in my opinion, I felt like I had to just really go with my gut a lot of times when I was looking for schools and then also looking for jobs, because so much of it is a vibe check. Like, so much of these interviews and so much of, like, picking a law school, sure, it's like the numbers are gonna matter to you and, like, job outcomes are obviously gonna matter at a school, but it comes a point where, like, there are a couple that are in the same range and you just have to go with your gut and pick the best one for you. And I think that the school I'm at, everybody that I had talked to and, everyone that worked here was like, "This is everybody is going to, like, foster you and, you know, you're gonna feel like you are a part of something at this school." And, yeah, I think that was kind of what, like, did me in to go here. I don't
Yeah,
think I've ever said the school I go to. I don't really care to, but
yeah.
probably not
Maybe you
going
can
to.
later.
Yeah.
Just making you feel like you're valued and like a sense of community. I think
Yeah,
that you thrive off of. I think we both do. Like just feeling involved and like a close knit family.
yeah,
I think that that's sweet.
and to put that again, to, like, put that in a nutshell, I think just being treated like you're a person by these schools or by these firms rather than an LSAT score and a GPA in a personal statement. Like, you're a person rather than an application.
Yeah,
And that's how I felt when I was applying to this school, and that's how I've felt, like, in some firms that I've applied to and talked with, and some, like, I definitely haven't felt that way. So, you just
yeah.
kinda have to fill it out.
At the end of the day, you have to remember that it's your money that you're investing,
Yeah.
and they should be honored that you're even considering and then eventually choose them because
Yeah.
you're paying them a large lump of sum.
Yeah. And,
But
it definitely the school you go to definitely is going to affect your job outcomes, but if you're miserable for 3 years, it might in my opinion, it would be worth it to go to, like, a school that isn't ranked, you know, whatever, just to have friends and
yeah,
enjoy yourself, you know?
be happy. Yeah,
'Cause it's 3 years of your life, which seems short in the long run, but, like, it's law school's hard anyway. Like, you don't wanna
yeah,
make it harder by hating where you're at, so
for sure. Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question, and I hope this doesn't sound the wrong way, but not to call you like a nepo baby of the law,
okay.
but you kind of are. So, I was just gonna say, do you think that connections make or break success in corporate America? And I'm gonna elaborate just a little bit.
Go ahead.
Like, obviously, your dad was a lawyer, and now he's a judge. Your brother's a lawyer, so you've been exposed to this, and lots of firms know you via your father, which has also hindered you because now you can't do certain internships in certain areas because he's the judge, blah, blah, blah. But that gives you exposure and, like, people know who you are and know your name. Do you feel like it would be harder for someone who has no previous exposure, no guidance into the career of a lawyer, like getting started and then finding an internship and things of that nature? But also, has it been a challenge because you had those connections to branch out on your own and, like, kind of pave your own path?
Yeah,
Very loaded question.
this is another really terrific question. Feel like I needed to talk about this, like, on the pod like, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I wanna share them, so I'm glad you asked. First of all, my it's really a kind of a big deal to me to, um, kind of get out of the gene pool a little bit, and, like, I went to Virginia where, like, definitely no one knows of my family, but in Tennessee, for sure, like, if there are certain things that, like, it would probably be easier for me to, like, land a job or go to a certain schools because of, like, my dad and my granddad and, whatever. We've been in Tennessee for a long time, like, it happens. But it's important for me to kind of, like, I call it getting out of the gene pool a little bit and do things, I say on my own, but, like, the thing about that is anything that I do is still because of my parents. Like, they
Yeah.
have guided
To
me.
the biggest degree you can on
Yeah,
your own.
yeah. But, like, I wanted to kind of go to a school that would allow me to make my own connections and blaze my own trail, which is a privilege in and of itself that, like, I can do that,
Yeah.
that I don't have to, like, rely on my family. However, it's absolutely a connections game, 110%. Like, some people, like, just knew people at firms, and so they got a job there, and it was, simple like that for them. Other people, like, had connected with people through the semester, and then they talked to them about getting a job at their firm. They got the job. By the way, it's not all firm jobs. There are also, like, public interest and stuff. I feel like I always talk about firms, but there's lots of legal jobs. Um, anyways, where was I? Okay. Yeah. But, I think there's nothing wrong with using your connections at all because everyone does one way or another. Whether it's people they met in undergrad, whether it's people that they've met during law school, like, everybody's using connections. And if you have them from your family, maybe you're like a leg up, you know, at the beginning, but, like, people are working hard to make these connections anyway. So you can't just, like, sit back and rely on that necessarily, unless your dad is the governor of California or something, whatever. um, but yeah. Also, there are so many, I think this is an amazing thing. There are so many clubs and could you hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, I
It's
can't
okay.
silence it. There are so many clubs for, like, first generation law students, first generation college students that provide those connections to people who, weren't born into, like, a legal family or either even if their parents, like, never went to undergrad, whatever, never went to college at all. So I think that it's awesome that there are so many resources for people who don't have that. And lastly, I don't know if I'm actually answering this question, so I'm just kinda sharing some rough thoughts.
I
Um,
don't think there's, like, a definite answer. I think it's just
yeah,
everybody's opinion's different,
yeah.
so
Lastly, my dad has always been in Upper East Tennessee. I have an uncle in West Tennessee. And then my granddaddy was in state politics, but that was, like, years ago, like, forever ago. Almost no one remembers. No offense to my granddaddy. Love him a lot.
everyone around here remembers,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't get it twisted.
Everybody in, like,
Local legend.
those counties, yeah, knows. Um, but, like, it's kind of for what I wanna do, it's not overly helpful. I'm not gonna say that, like, I don't have and that I'm not privileged at all in that realm because, like, of course I am. Um, but I will say that having an older brother who just went through law school, I think has been so much more helpful than my dad because, and no offense to my dad, like, he's great, but Will just went through all of this, um, and he was, like, very involved and, knew a lot of people, so I think having him to talk to about classes, to talk to about, like, the new bar exam that's coming out, to talk to about, like, the way firms work nowadays, I think that has been so much more helpful and, like, I don't know, like, has made me feel so much more
Like a peace
confident.
of mind, I guess, kind of
Yeah, it
thing?
makes me feel more confident in what I'm doing because he's been there and you know, the feeling of, like, just really not understanding something until you've been completely
Yeah.
through it. Like, you only understand it looking back on it. That's how
Mhm.
a lot of these things feel. And so to have will there to just say, like, sometimes even just like, "Yeah, that looks good," or, "No, that's probably not a good idea," maybe do it a different way. I think that has been so much more valuable than just, like, having my dad who is a lawyer who went to law school a million years ago.
Yeah.
Not to call my dad old, but,
A million.
yeah. Any other
Yeah.
questions on that? Did I answer that?
No, I think it was a good answer because just relating it to what I know, like in nursing, yes, connections can help, but like a hospital's always hiring. A
Yeah.
hospital's really just not going to deny you. I feel like the connections are needed when you try to get out of the hospital necessarily, but it's still not to, I feel like, the degree that corporate America is.
Mhm.
So, and I just feel I know my personality type. I feel like I would have trouble, like, trying to make all those connections would like kind of exhaust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Definitely,
I
and
just didn't know what you if you were thankful to be a nepo baby or I'm kidding.
I the most okay, I'm literally cannot speak. The thing that I'm most grateful for, I think, about, like, the way I was raised and kind of being raised in, like, the legal, political-esque field, um, is that my parents always brought the 4 of us everywhere, and, like, we met people, like, of all statuses to a point that, like, I don't care about things like that, like, I
Yeah,
am just like, "It's
yeah,
another day," I don't know how to explain what I'm saying. I feel like no one is out of my reach, and, like, I can just reach out and ask people anything. There's a pretty good chance that they won't respond, but, like, they're just
yeah,
people. Like, everybody is just a person at the
yeah.
end of the day, and they're not intimidating or anything, like, it's okay, you know?
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
But great job, that's all that I prepared.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed answering those questions. I love for people to ask me about my life.
I love to share about myself talk about myself, I love to do that.
Also, if one person who wants to go to law school reaches out to me and asks me questions, it'll, like, literally make my month, okay? I love to talk
Somebody
about it.
just build her up, like, don't you can lie. Just
Yeah, somebody just lie and say you wanna go to law school, or, like, you're kinda thinking about it, and you'll get, like, a 15-page long essay from me about it. Okay,
what would really fill her up is be like, "I listened to your episode and decided that I'm interested."
I would die. No, but actually, it is if you have any interest, like, you really should look into it because it is such an amazing experience to just learn the way things work. Like, there's a quote by someone that I don't even know, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it. Might maybe, like, Seinfeld or something, I don't remember. But he's basically like, "Everybody in the world is just guessing, but lawyers are the ones who actually know how things work and can play the game."
Yeah,
And the more I learn about the law, the more I learn that that's true. Like, nobody knows what the law is. We just have to tell them
exactly.
when they break it or, like, when they're getting sued, you know?
Yeah,
So, anyway.
it's really a leg up on the rest of society. You could really just bury someone any moment you choose to because
I
you
don't
actually know the law.
but a thing that I really sorry, this is about to get nerdy a little bit. A thing that I really like about the law is that it, like, in most instances, and some things that are happening right now is making this less true, but generally, the law follows, like, normal human behavior, and it's everything is the reasonable person, you know? So, like, if you're acting reasonably, you're most likely, in most cases, not going to like, you're safe, you know? If you're being a
Yeah,
reasonable person, you're good. And so I like how it monitors human behavior across, like, all of these different
yeah.
areas of a life and has,
That's
like, determined through all of these court cases, like, what reasonable is, you know?
yeah,
Anyway,
I do like that. And I'm just
so
thinking of interactions I've had, I'm like, "Well, no one that I've interacted with is normal that's breaking the law. They're all idiots." I'm kidding.
so talking about the reasonable person is a good place to start for, getting into our cases. So,
I'm excited about this.
I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell Mallie, like, the facts of some of these cases, which are so crazy, and then she's gonna guess who won, which will be
Yeah,
maybe kinda fun.
I'll be the
Um,
judge of that.
but as a disclaimer, first of all, I'm probably gonna get some of these wrong, okay? Like, I learned these last semester. I did a little bit of research before this to make sure I'm getting them right, but like, just bear with me, okay? It's
It's
just for
okay.
fun. It's just a podcast.
Luckily, this isn't their actual verdict, so
Yeah.
I think they're safe.
Secondly, none of this is legal advice, as you all know. Okay, I'm ready.
No, it is. From me.
Two things as a little bit of background so that you know what I'm talking about. Do people know the difference between criminal law and civil law? Is that
No.
okay? I was gonna explain it, but like I'm getting.
I
I know
would
this.
feel like a criminal would be like a fugitive, like
Yeah, well,
murder or
criminal
theft.
law, yeah, is like always going to be the government versus someone. Sometimes it's called like the state of Tennessee versus someone, or like the people versus whoever. Anyway, it's the government prosecuting someone who has committed a crime.
Yeah.
So
Is
the
civil more like a trespassing issue
well,
or like
trespassing could be
business
both.
relations?
Yeah, civil law is if I'm suing you, like it's private
Personal.
parties. The government
Okay.
is not, well, sometimes the government's a party, but it's
Okay.
usually like private parties and they're going to be seeking usually monetary damages. Like they want money.
So, an example, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, that
That's
would be civil.
civil. Yeah, no laws were broken necessarily.
Just an injustice was done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Thank
then
you for
but
that.
sometimes when laws are broken, you can also sue for money.
Okay.
Like you can have a
Like
criminal
damages.
what? Yes. Yeah.
Like in a criminal, like damages. Like if I, like, per se, when I hit that lady's fence,
Yeah.
I was trespassing on my car and broke a law by sleeping behind the wheel. I'm kidding.
Correct.
But,
Like
like, oh,
no, yeah, you could like
I'm guilty.
you could have gotten like a citation or whatever and then you like go to court to dispute that. That's a criminal matter. Like you broke a law and you're fighting it, whatever.
Mm, okay.
But then if the lady was suing you for damages to her fence, that would be the civil matter.
So it could be criminal and civil at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm trying to think of
Literally, I am an L1.
1L.
Close enough.
Okay. And then another thing is plaintiffs versus defendants. So in civil cases, there are plaintiffs, and that's the people who bring the case. That's who, like, I'm suing you, so I'm the plaintiff, you're the defendant. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
And then in criminal cases, it's usually going to be prosecution versus defendant. And also, if there are any lawyers listening to this, I'm making it simple because it's for my podcast. Okay, so don't come at me for anything.
Literally.
Anyway,
That's all. She knows what she's talking about.
okay.
She
So the very first case that we're going to discuss is one of the first one that usually people will learn in contract law. And it's called Hawkins versus McGee, and it's known as the hairy hand case. Okay.
Ew.
So the facts of this case is kind of crazy. So a doctor, Mr. McGee, promised a patient, Mr. Hawkins, he's like a little boy at this point. Hawkins is a little boy. A
Okay.
100% perfect hand. He had burned his hand. Okay. Little boy has a burn on his hand. Doctor says, I will give you a 100% perfect hand
Okay.
if you'll let me do this surgery. Okay. The surgery, a skin graft using chest skin, resulted in excessive hair growth and worsened the condition. He had like thick, coarse hair growing on his hand. And then he like couldn't use his hand at all. So,
Aw.
of course, this is not a 100% perfect hand. So, how do you think the court decided this? This was a long time ago. Maybe like the 20s or 30s or something.
First of all, as a nurse, you never guarantee 100% of anything because you
Yep.
literally just do not know.
Yep.
But I still feel like they cannot find the doctor guilty because
Well, this is okay. Another thing about civil versus criminal is criminal, you're found guilty. In this case, he would just have to pay.
okay, I was about to say so he's
He wouldn't
being
go to jail.
sued because the hand's not perfect.
Yeah.
Correct. I still feel like they could not sue him for that. But I guess
Really?
I don't know much about the law
It's okay.
though.
No, I want to know what like just a person
So
who doesn't
just
know
because
anything.
his word was wrong, he's gonna be sued? Or
What
was
do
it
you
like
think?
written on paper like
Well,
you
I'm
will
sure this is in contracts law. So, also, by the way, a contract can be verbal. It doesn't have to be written down.
Okay, then yes, he can be sued for that.
Okay. So yeah, we learned that case to learn that you can sue for expectation damages. So the doctor owed the patient the monetary difference, which that's a whole other thing, is how to define that difference. But
What your hand's worth?
between a hand when he started, no, sorry, between a perfectly good hand, 100% good hand, and the horrible hand that he ended with. The
Just
doctor
out
owes
of
him all that money.
curiosity, how do you measure what a hand is worth?
I promise you don't want to get into damages.
Okay, just kidding. That was forget asked.
Yeah, just believe me, okay? It's probably a lot of money. Expectation damages are usually the highest amount in contracts. That I shouldn't have even said that. That's just so much so
Okay,
much more difficult. Okay. That was a good one. You
yeah,
did good. You were correct.
thanks.
So
Well, not
yeah,
praise.
just so you know, well, there's another case coming up that
You
I'll
have to remember, I'm a lay person. I have no
yeah.
idea.
We'll stick with contracts for a second.
Okay.
Okay. Next case is called Lucy v. Zimmer, and this is probably one of my favorite cases that we learned in contract law. So this is in 1952. Mr. Lucy and Mr. Zimmer are at Mr. Lucy, I think it's one of their bars or like restaurants kind of. And they have like a little bit to drink, not much. And Mr. who owns the farm? Zimmer. So Mr. Zimmer owns this farm in Virginia. Mr. Lucy says, I will give you $50,000 if you'll give me this farm. Apparently, this is a situation where Mr. Lucy had tried to buy the farm from him numerous times before. I don't remember why. We read a whole like historical thing about it, but Mr. Lucy really wanted this farm. Well, Mr. Zimmer was like, okay, sure, I'll sell it to you. And they write it down on the back of a napkin at the bar. Like, Mr. Zimmer, sell my farm to Mr. Lucy for $50,000, whatever. Then, Mr. Zimmer goes up to his wife and gets her to sign her name on the napkin as like a co-signer. But while she's doing that, he's like, don't worry, it's just a joke. I'm just joking with Mr. Lucy. I'm not actually selling my farm. And so, yeah, so then Mr. Lucy goes around town and he's like, I bought Mr. Zimmer's farm. He tells everybody. Well, then, obviously, he tries to sell the farm, or he tries to get the farm from Mr. Zimmer. And he's like, nah, I was just kidding. I was just joking the whole time. It was literally just a joke, dude. Like, get a sense of humor. So, what do you think? Who got the farm?
I think the guy who tried to buy it should get the farm. There's a document signed with a witness, and they can't like prove that he was just joking at that time or like that he was too intoxicated to make a decision because you weren't there in the moment. So I think whoever tried the Mr. whatever that tried to buy it gets the farm.
You're correct. Ding, ding, ding. It's about your objective intent, not your subjective intent. If you sign a contract, it doesn't matter what you secretly think. It matters what the contract says. And another thing about that, but I just forgot what I was gonna say, so never mind, that's all.
Just kidding.
Oh, this is what it was. Intoxication actually can be, he could have been too intoxicated to do that, but he wasn't. They just found that he wasn't.
But how would they know? Unless they literally breathalyze them right there.
Yeah, I mean, that was in like, what did I say, like the 50s?
1950.
Yeah. So just kind of like witnesses.
Okay.
They could have said like how many drinks he had, whatever. Anyway.
Oh.
Okay, next one. This is another really, really good contracts case. So this is called Leonard v. PepsiCo. I'm just going to read this one because it kind of has a lot of facts. So, PepsiCo, as we know as Pepsi, began a promotional campaign that encouraged its customers to collect Pepsi points and trade them in for merchandise. As a part of this campaign, PepsiCo created a commercial that showed some of the available merchandise along with the number of points it would take to acquire it. One item in the commercial was a Harrier jet. It's like a big military jet, which was said to require 7 million Pepsi points. Leonard, who's like a random guy who saw this commercial, wanted to redeem the jet, which he was aware at the time would cost approximately $23 million, if in like the equivalent of Pepsi points to like US dollars. He consulted the catalog, which contained directions for claiming merchandise. These directions included that in the event someone does not have enough Pepsi points for an item, the additional points could be purchased for 10 cents each, so long as at least 15 Pepsi points are sent in with the order. Leonard was not able to collect 7 million points through purchasing PepsiCo products. He raised enough money to purchase the requisite number of points for the jet, $700,000, and submitted
Oh
his
my
letter, which
gosh.
included 15 points and the money. Leonard sent a letter with his submission explaining that the money was for the purpose of buying additional Pepsi points to be used to redeem the jet shown in the commercial. PepsiCo rejected the submission, stating that only items in the catalog or on the order form could be redeemed. Leonard exchanged demand letters with both PepsiCo and the advertising company responsible for the commercial. PepsiCo filed suit to not have to do it. What do you think?
I feel like he won because they said it takes this many points and he followed their rules, and then all of a sudden the rules don't matter.
Yeah, it's a really great point.
Thanks.
The
I'm really
problem
good at this game.
the problem is you can't just like buy a Harrier
I
jet.
know.
You can't just like buy a Harrier jet. And there are like many other problems with actually giving this guy a jet. So they basically said like, this is really funny after the case I just told you. They said, oh, that was clearly a joke in advertising. And actually, I remember the judge in the case said to explain a joke, it loses its, like, if you have to explain a joke, it's not funny anymore.
Yeah.
Like, basically, that's what the judge
What a
said.
play
Oh,
they in court.
I know. So the judge was basically like, this was clearly a joke, idiot, you know?
The judge said that
I mean, I'm paraphrasing largely, but
to the guy?
he was like, yeah, Pepsi does not have to give you a Harrier jet because that was clearly a joke.
But what did Pepsi, did they have to give him anything?
No,
No, I think that's wrong. They lied.
I agree. And this guy raised $700,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They owe him $23 million.
They probably ended up giving him something. Like, I mean,
Yeah, to stay quiet.
yeah. Well, I mean, this is
An
in our,
NDA.
he clearly didn't stay quiet because this is in our case book.
That's so true.
Oh,
And you know what?
man.
I wouldn't have stayed quiet either.
Yeah.
I'd let him know.
Me neither.
And he
Okay.
probably never drank Pepsi after that. And
I
I
think
support
that
that.
that is all of our. Actually, there's one more. Just kidding. I don't really like that one. I'm not going to read it. That's
Okay.
all of our contracts cases. Now we're going to move on to.
Criminal?
We'll do a criminal one. I only have one criminal case because honestly, the criminal cases are really crazy, but they're really sad. We've been doing
Yeah.
like homicide, and a lot of it is like child abuse,
Yeah.
really, really horrible stuff. So I don't feel right doing that. And then there are also some torts cases that are really horrible, that I just didn't want to include, even though they.
It's really sweet of
Yeah.
you to.
I just honestly also like. I think it's so crazy that these horrible stories, like these people, like lived through this, and now these stories are just in our casebooks.
Like knowledge. Yeah.
Well, not even public knowledge, but now like used so like for learning purposes, you know?
Yeah.
Which
It's
I mean,
sad.
I guess it's kind of like at least something came out of these people's
Yeah.
deaths, you know?
I just wish people didn't have to die for educational
We've
purposes.
read so many child abuse cases. It's so horrible.
Yeah.
That is awful. Okay, but my criminal case. So this is like there's actually a movie based roughly on this story. This is a common law story back in like I think it's in England. But US common law follows English common law, so we have to read a lot of old English cases. Anyway. So, Dudley, Stevens, Brooks, and Parker were stranded at sea after their ship sank. After 20 days without rescue, with no food or water, Dudley and Stevens went to Brooks and said, "Hey, listen, we have to kill Parker. We have to kill him and eat him because
How many days? 20?
20 days. Because we're gonna die if we don't." And Brooks is
Okay.
like, "No, we're not doing that." So
How considerate.
I know Brooks was being kind.
They're at sea.
They're at
Have you
sea.
ever heard of a rod and reel? Anyways.
Apparently they couldn't fish for some reason. Okay. So yeah, Dudley and Stevens are confronting Brooks about killing Parker. They're saying like he's the weakest one. He's gonna die anyway. We have to kill him and eat him. So while Parker's sleeping, or they tell Parker, they're like, just go to bed. Don't worry about it. Which like clearly Parker knows what's gonna happen. Oh no, sorry, that's Brooks. Parker is the one who gets killed. So Dudley and Stevens go and kill Parker, and then they both eat him, and then Brooks also ends up eating him. So they're eventually saved and brought to England, and there's still criminal charges brought against them for the murder of Parker. Um, so what do you think? Should they be charged for that? This is like the biggest "what would you do in this situation" question of all time. Would you
How
kill
long
him
were
again?
they gone total?
I think it was short. I think it was like 4 days or something after they killed him. It's in the actual case, but I don't have it in my little synopsis here. This is a
Hmm.
tough question.
Why did they not try to catch a fish?
I don't know. Like,
Why was murder their number like, oh, death. Like we have to kill him.
yeah.
There's so many, literally so many fish in the sea.
Do you
So
think?
that would make me mad.
But
What about a bird?
what if like they could not catch any fish? There were no birds. Like this was their only thing that they could do.
I really don't know. I don't think they could charge him for murder.
They did.
Good.
Interesting.
That's what
Interestingly,
I wanted you to say.
only the two who killed him, not Brooks,
Even though he knew.
not Brooks, who knew that they were going to kill him and who ended up eating him as well.
This reminds me of the show Society of Snow. Have you watched that?
Mm-mm.
It's about, I think it's a soccer team that was on a plane. They got in a plane crash and like some the Alps or something crazy
Yeah.
where they literally could not be seen. And they ended up having to, they didn't kill anyone. People had already died.
And they ate them.
And they had to eat them to survive. And it got to the point where, like, a lot of them didn't want to because they were like, we could be arrested for, like, being carnivores and stuff like, or is that the right?
Cannibals.
Yeah. Like, eating a dead body. They could be
Yeah.
charged. And it got to the point where, like, they were saying, you know, if I die, I give you consent to eat my body and stuff like that. And eventually they were rescued, but they were able to survive. They were gone for a very long time, though.
Is it a true
Longer.
story?
Yeah, it's a true story.
Oh my gosh.
It's so sad. But
That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, they and like where their plane crashed, you couldn't see it. So if I don't know if the story matches up with the movie perfectly, but like one guy escaped and they like kept getting taken down by avalanches and stuff. It's really crazy.
That is
So
crazy.
if you want to watch the
What's it
Society
called?
of Snow, the Society of Snow, I think
Okay.
something. It's on Netflix. It's something around that.
Yeah.
But it's very depressing. But they didn't kill anyone. The people had already died.
See, that's kind of what I think about this. If they swear that this guy is going to die anyway, why don't they just let him die and then eat him? Do they just need to
Yeah.
speed it up?
I don't know why they thought they had to take that action.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't even want to know. I don't want to even put myself in that situation.
So, have
Like
you ever watched the
mentally.
movie The Life of Pi?
No, I've
You
heard
need
of it.
to. It is so good, but it was like inspired by this situation.
Oh, okay.
It's so good. I watched it after I read this because my professor said in class like it's based on these people. The guy's name is Richard Parker, and that's like literally the name of the tiger in the movie, which you need to watch it to know what I'm talking about. But yeah. So
Okay.
basically, the court said that the people brought up a necessity defense, like we had to kill him to survive, and they ruled that killing an innocent person to survive is still murder, even in extreme circumstances.
Dang.
Yep.
Well, good. Because that doesn't sit right with me.
Dudley and Stevens were convicted, but later had their death sentence commuted to 6 months in prison. So they kind of,
Oh, they're fine.
yeah, it's okay.
6 months.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Okay.
From a death sentence to 6 months in prison.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Okay, so that's our only criminal law case, but torts is basically criminal law, but in the civil area.
Okay.
So a tort is like a very simple definition is like a civil wrong. So it's just something that gives way to liability.
Okay.
And I think you'll kind of catch on with what I mean when I start talking about these cases. So this one is so freaking insane, and it was like so funny to learn about this case in a classroom setting. This is a little bit PG, so if your children are listening, like consider what I'm about to say.
You mean PG-13?
Sorry, yeah, PG-13. But
Okay.
it's not rated R, so it's okay.
They'll be fine.
So there's this guy, it's called Moosavan v. David. And David is a doctor, and he is having an affair with Moosavan's wife, who's also a doctor. Okay? So we
Okay.
have
Doctor affair.
Moosavan and wife, Dr. David, who is having an affair with the wife.
Gotcha.
So Dr. David contracts an STD from an unknown source. We don't know. He just has an STD. He gives this STD to the wife. Naturally, the wife gives the STD to the husband. Dr. David had never told the wife that he had this STD, so the husband ended up suing Dr. David. So, do you think that the husband should be able to, do you think that the doctor is liable to his affair partner's husband for giving him an STD
I
indirectly?
think yes, because STDs are reportable. You are required to report them.
Yep.
As a nurse, I know this
Yeah.
because
Yeah, this is like the
it is the
intersection.
law. You have to report STDs, and you have to tell who you've been. I think you may have to tell who you've been in sexual relations with so they can
Yeah.
make sure everyone's treated appropriately.
Yeah. So, correct. We learned this in the foreseeability area of our class because the wife sleeping with her husband after the doctor's given the wife this STD, that's foreseeable. So
Yeah.
not only is he liable to the wife, but also any of her foreseeable partners, which is her husband is obviously going to be a foreseeable partner.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's so crazy and fun.
That is crazy.
Okay, another really fun one from Torrance is Catco v. Briney. So basically, Catco. Oh no, it does say Briney. I thought Catco was the bad guy, but Briney has this like farmhouse that he doesn't live in. It's like kind of deteriorating, and Catco is like a common trespasser. Catco will come and try to find like bottles, cool little old bottles in this house. Well, Briney gets sick of it and he says, you know what? They're not coming on my property anymore. And if they do, they're going to regret it. So he rigs up a shotgun in this house, like a booby trap. And
Okay.
he's rigging it up, and his wife, he has it pointed where it's going to shoot them in the head. And his wife is like, maybe just like shoot him in the knees. Let's not make this like a lethal force. And he's like, okay, you know what, honey? You're right. So they aim it for the knees. Naturally, Catco walks in, gets shot in the knees. And also, naturally, Catco sues Briney. What do you think happens?
I don't think the man, the owner of that house, is in the wrong because isn't it a thing like if you break through the threshold of someone's home, they are completely able to defend themselves even if it does mean shooting?
So I thought that too. I did not like the
Trespassing.
I did not like the outcome of this case. I wanted it to be like, I'm like a property rights person, you know? If
Yeah.
they come into your house, you can do whatever you want to them. But unfortunately, that is not how the law works. Basically, you have to come back, you have to defend your house with an equal amount of force. And obviously, these people were like nonviolent trespassers, and clearly, Mr. Briney knew that because they'd been there before. So yeah, rigging up a shotgun was not an equal amount of force to simple trespassers.
Wow.
And that's that.
This reminds me of squatters, which
Yeah.
we'll not get into, but like I think it's absurd that someone can live on your property and you're not allowed to kick them out
I
in some
know.
areas. Heck no.
I think that's crazy too.
And I'm not going to disclose what I would do if that happened to me in the presence of a lawyer, but just know it would, I guess, not be legal.
And while we're recording this and we're going to put it out for the world to hear.
Yeah, but just no one will be squad in my
Okay, something you learn in constitutional law is it can't be a hypothetical question. So no one can come at you for saying you hypothetically would do something.
What if it's the law of expectation?
I don't think
Okay,
that's a
good.
thing.
Yeah, you said you can be sued because of expectations.
Oh, well, that's like in contracts, like the expectation
Don't
of
sue me because they expect to be shot. I'm kidding.
you're making a verbal contract with anyone who comes here.
I don't even own a house. What am I even saying? Anyways, Wow, that's awful
I know.
for all parties involved.
I agree. But what if he had done it to where it shot the guy in
Oh,
the
no.
head?
I bet he's thankful his wife redirected him.
Yeah. Something I thought about while we were learning this case is like, I know so many people, my grandparents, like my aunts and uncles, who own property where there's like a house that's being,
Vacant.
yeah. And I could totally, I mean, maybe rigging up a shotgun is like a lot, but I could see them like keeping a violent dog there or like
Yeah,
something, to keep
yeah.
people away.
If
I can
there's
also
a
see
no
my
tres
brother doing that.
if there's a no trespassing sign, don't trespass.
Yeah. And in some jurisdictions, like, well, it's different because no one lived in this house. It was just like a
Yeah,
beaten down house. But in some jurisdictions, even if it's your own house, before you shoot a trespasser, you have to warn them. You have to
warn
say,
them,
like,
yeah.
get out or I'm going to
Or
shoot you.
have a gun, yeah.
Yeah. And in some cases, a no trespassing sign is enough warning, or like trespassers will be shot or whatever.
Okay. Trespassers will be shot.
Yeah. That's enough
Wow.
warning for the
Do
law.
they sell that sign at Walmart?
Honestly, like maybe they have they have some crazy signs.
That's funny.
Okay. So this is another torts case. It's Kaufman v. Garnett. It involves a middle school football team. So the defendant, I'm just going to say defendant and plaintiff because I don't remember these people's names. Sorry to these people. Sorry to this man.
They
But
did all that for no recognition.
yeah, I know. So the defendant is a middle school assistant football coach. He coaches like the defensive line. And the plaintiff is a sixth grade boy. He's just joined the football team, right? And he weighs like, we'll say 100 pounds, and the coach
I
weighs.
think I know this story.
Have I told you this? I think I told you
Maybe.
this.
Maybe. Go
I
ahead.
think I told you in calling this. Um, the coach is like 250 pounds, maybe 275. Um, so they lose a game. They lose like their very first game of the season. And the defensive line coach is so mad. He's like, you guys have got to learn how to tackle. Matter of fact, little sixth grader, get up here. I'm going to show you how to tackle. And he literally, with his full 275 pounds of force, attacks and tackles this sixth grade boy, who breaks his arm. Who will prevail in court?
The little boy.
Yeah.
Better. Or I don't believe in this justice system.
Yeah. So basically the coach said, "Nuh-uh. You guys gave
Uh-uh.
you guys gave consent. Like you know that football is a violent sport. You gave your implied consent that he would be pushed around." And
Not by a grown woman.
exactly. The parents are like, "This is so outside the scope of what we consented to for our son."
You broke his arm.
No. Literally after
Evil.
the game is over. Isn't that so
Who
funny?
and the little boy probably didn't get any playing time. He's
You know it.
probably a bench warmer.
And also that's probably why he picked that little kid, because he wasn't gonna tackle his starters.
He wasn't gonna break his starter quarterback's arm.
Yeah.
Wow, he's a loser.
I
It's
know.
giving small man energy.
It's literally giving, like,
Small man
peaked in
syndrome.
high school energy, you know?
Obviously, yeah. He needs to take a good long look in the mirror.
It really does.
Hate him, for real.
So do I. I know, that case, like,
Disgusting. That
you
just gave me
know
the ick.
you know that coach is just, like, such a horrible dude.
Maybe his wife left him. And for good reason.
He needed to take it out on somebody, so he picked a sixth grader.
Literally.
Another torts case, I have to include this. It's not that crazy of a series of events, but it's like the most iconic torts case in the world. I'll do like 2 or 3 more and then we'll be done.
Okay.
So this is Paulsgraf v. Long Island Railroad. So basically what happened here is you have Mrs. Paulsgraf sitting on a like railroad terminal, like at a railroad station. She's sitting there and there's a huge scale of some kind right beside her, like huge, stands up tall.
And she got fat shamed. I know this story all too well.
No.
Just kidding.
Good guess, but no, unfortunately. That would be a way better story. So, we have this mysterious passenger, okay, and he's going to board the train, but he's a little late. So, he's going to jump on the plane. He has this package. 2 of the railroad workers go to help him get up on this moving train. Apparently, this was commonplace. There was no problem with this in the case. This was not
Okay.
what went wrong. Unfortunately, the package he was carrying happened to be filled with fireworks, which he dropped when he was pushed up on the train. So, of
Mhm.
course, when the fireworks drop and the sparks from the train hit the package, the fireworks blast off, hitting the scale sitting beside Mrs. Palsgraf and knocking it over onto her. She has unnamed injuries, we're unsure. She sues the railroad for negligence. Who do you think prevails?
The railroad.
Unfortunately, yes. The railroad.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
she was injured just by happenstance of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
that's exactly what Justice Cardozo said. You guys think
Because
it's just a lie, and he's like a genius.
I knew it. I mean, were fireworks illegal to have on the train?
So that's what I said. I was like, I feel like if they just, if so many safety provisions were in place, this would have been negligence on the railroad. But apparently, fireworks were fine to have.
Yeah, they can't help. That's like a tornado coming through and knocking that scale over and her trying to sue the railroad.
Yeah, you are
You can't,
exactly
there's some
right.
things you're not in control of.
What we call that is a foreseeability problem or a proximate cause problem. But you're exactly right. I'm so proud of you for that.
Thanks.
It was like
Maybe
two.
I missed my calling.
Yeah. The from the wrongdoing, which what even was the wrongdoing? The pushing the guy up on the railroad, I got up
I
on the
guess,
train.
or the dropping of the box, but like everybody makes
But that
mistakes.
was by the passenger, not the.
Yeah.
I think she probably could have sued the passenger, but we don't know what happened to him. He's lost in history.
Did anyone die?
No. And actually her injuries were like not that severe.
She's a Karen. Just get over it.
A scale fell on you. It happens.
Literally get over it, please.
So yeah.
Okay.
So that's how we learned about foreseeability and when a wrong is too remote to what happened to the plaintiff to be able to impose liability on the defendant.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, so let's see. I talked about the one with the dad who lured the guy out
Yeah.
into the woods and beat him and threatened to castrate him and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
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 Go back
Yeah.
to our previous episode to learn about that one. This one is kind of crazy. This is another torts case, of course. And then we'll do the Taco Bell case and then we'll be done.
Okay.
So, this is called Hunt v. State. Basically, we have an SRO, like a school resource officer,
Mhm.
um, who is just a little bit too good at his job, one could say. So what happens is we have two little boys who are in elementary school. One of them steals the lunch money of like an autistic kid on the bus. Okay? And there are many witnesses that this kid did it.
Yeah.
Kid
Mhm.
A, or we'll say kid number 1.
Yep.
So, kid number 1 has stolen this lunch money and he's saying he did not do it, okay? And the principal is like, "SRO, can you come and handle this for me?" And he's like, "Oh, sure. I've got this in the bag." So what he does is goes and gets kid number 2, which is it's not the kid who
Yeah.
the lunch money was stole from. Other kid who's like very timid, very kind, like everybody likes this kid, but he's kind of like shy, you know?
Mhm.
Goes and gets kids number 2, and both of them are in a room with the SRO. The SRO starts accusing kid number 2 of taking the lunch money in front of kid number 1, the true thief of the lunch money. So he's like saying like I'm going to take you to jail. You're going to get arrested for like 30 minutes if not longer. Okay? So eventually kid number 1 is like, "No, don't do this to kid number 2. He's so nice. I took the lunch money." So, eventually
Oh, okay.
the SRO gets the correct
Yeah. Yeah.
outcome, I guess. However, kid number 2 is so severely scarred by this that he drops out of school. His mom ends up suing like the SRO, the school district, like everybody that she can think of to sue, okay? Because her kid is so scarred by this. And she brings a claim of the reckless infliction of emotional distress. Who prevails?
Probably kid number 2. I could see how that would be a tad bit traumatic. First of all, I thought the story was going completely different. I thought the SRO was like gonna convince kid number 1 that they should, like, gang up on kid number 2 and make him guilty,
Yeah.
and I was about to be ticked off, but
No,
then
that would be horrible.
the story ended the way I was hoping with kid number 1 being guilty. But maybe he should have, like, let kid number 2 in on the joke, in on the gag of it all.
Well, he actually I think he did. He said I'm remembering from this case, he
Okay.
said
Well, that
something in the
changes
beginning.
everything.
He said something in the beginning like, um, I'm kidding. Whatever I say in here, I'm just kidding," or something like that.
Well, then that changes everything.
I don't know, though, it's like a 3rd grader.
That's true, like, they don't have that emotional intelligence.
Yeah, this is an emotionally unintelligent
Yeah, maybe, like, don't do that, like, I feel like
Yeah,
you could have just asked a witness for maybe
yeah.
their testimony,
For
but
some reason, he just wanted a confession from this,
he needs to take it to, like, the police station, like, interrogate, like, actual
like,
criminals,
terrorist. Yeah.
not a lunch money thief.
Yeah, he's, like, a little bit too big for his britches, but you know what? We all know a cop like this. No
Yeah,
offense
and
to cops.
now that I'm thinking of it, kid number 1 needs constructive bullying.
Yeah,
Lunch money from a child with autism? Crazy.
I know. It is really awful. Maybe he learned his lesson, though. That would
I thought
probably
you
be
you were gonna say that also the SRO made them get in a fight, like, made kid number 2 beat kid number 1 to teach him a lesson. I was, like, kind of here for that, but whatever.
there's so many turns that that story could have taken.
My favorite thing is how I want these stories to end. You start going, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know exactly what I would do."
Okay, there are actually so many more that I
The
wanna
last
talk about,
one.
but we'll talk about Taco Bell.
Okay.
So, we have Mr. Baker who goes into a Taco Bell. The Taco Bell employees do nothing wrong. However, Mr. Baker, like, collapses and something is severely wrong with him health-wise. Like, he's
Yeah, yeah.
collapsed in the floor. The Taco Bell workers say, "Hey, bro, are you okay?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." So he gets back up. Um, I think he orders his food, and then he falls again, okay? Like, he's in the floor of his Taco Bell. He's
Yeah.
collapsed. At this point, the Taco Bell workers do absolutely nothing. They just leave this guy on the floor of their restaurant. I'm not really sure how he ends up, like, leaving. I'm not really sure, like, the outcome of the facts here, but he sues Taco Bell because they should have helped him, or should they have? What do you think?
No, you cannot be held liable for whether you do or do not provide medical attention.
Well, that's
They
true.
he won?
Yeah, because he was in, like, Taco Bell invites people into their restaurant because it's a business. So they owe we call it a higher duty of care. So they did have the duty to call the cops and say, "Hey, there's a dude laying in the floor." And they did not.
Um,
But you're right, you have no duty to rescue ever.
like, as a nurse, what they teach us in school is the Good Samaritan law. Like, if I'm out in public and I see someone needing medical attention, I will not be held liable if I do not provide medical attention just because I'm a nurse.
Mhm. Yeah.
The fact that the rest of society is not held to that same law is
No,
kind
I
of
mean,
scary. Like, I'm more qualified,
everybody else is like, you don't have to.
but Taco Bell?
Well, but,
It
like, businesses have to call the
that's
cops.
stupid.
You think they should just be able to let him lay there on the floor?
Did they sue Taco Bell or the employees?
Taco Bell.
Okay, well, that's different. I thought you meant like they sued the individual employees that were
No.
working. That would have rubbed me the
They
wrong.
actually
Okay.
sued, like, the Taco Bell, like, parent company. I
Okay,
don't
then yeah,
remember who
never
it
mind.
is.
Like, okay.
Yeah, they have plenty of money. Like, get your bag, Mr. Baker.
Honestly, I would have done the same thing.
That's what I think in every single, torts case. Like, if somebody got hurt, I'm like, "Absolutely sue them, like, get your bag. Get
Yeah,
your medical expenses paid for."
I really was debating on whether I should share this story or not, and then we can end this episode.
Okay.
Because it's funny, but not at all. But the story reminded me of it. Colin and I were out for Valentine's Day dinner, and Colin just is, like, kind of infatuated with old people. He really thinks they're so cute and just loves them so much. So we're sitting at dinner, and he looks out in the hallway of where we're eating, and there's an old man who's, like, dozing off in the chair. Colin's like, "Mallie, look at that old man, like, how cute is that?" And he, like, took a video and sent it to his family and stuff. Just like, "Look at how cute this little old man is."
Yeah.
Well, like, 15, 20 minutes later, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden an ambulance pulls out, like, in front of the restaurant. And I'm like, "Colin?" He said, "Oh, no." Looks back at the old man. He's got a rag over his forehead now. And it's like, "Colin, no. Like, no shot." They literally bring a gurney in and have to put this man on the stretcher, and, like, I said, "Colin, they need to check for a pulse. This man is gray, and, like, he's completely unconscious at this point."
And Colin took a video of
Took a
him.
video of him. Yeah, he did that. And, like, it's not I really hope that man is okay, praying for him and, like, his health. But the fact that, like, we were just, talking about how cute he was, and Colin thought that he was asleep when in fact he was having a medical emergency. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, what restaurant were you at?
Health brings in.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really an
This
experience.
is probably, like, one of our listeners' grandpas.
I know, that's why I kinda didn't wanna say it,
I
and, like, I
know.
hope they're okay, but and then I was like, "Colin, we didn't even, like as nurses, didn't even register."
You just thought he was cute. He was sleepy.
Literally.
He's had a long day.
I said, although it would've kinda been iconic for us to go as a couple and be like, "Hey, we're nurses," you know?
Yeah. Like, "Are you
We
okay?"
missed our moment,
We
but it's
did.
not about us, so,
That
anyway,
is kind of a crazy story. Only
yeah.
because he took a video of him. The poor guy.
I know, that was the crazy part. Thank God for the Good Samaritan law, because we would've been guilty for
Yeah.
doing nothing
Yeah.
except taking a video.
So true. Um,
Anyways.
that just
Well,
reminded me of the time that we were eating dinner and a pistol fell out of an old man's pocket and aiming directly at us onto a, like, cement floor.
yeah, that was terrifying. We heard a big clank, looked down, aimed right at us.
And, like, the guy's daughter was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah, that was a weird experience, a
That was
weird moment in
crazy.
time.
Cookeville, Tennessee is a crazy place.
It it is. Well, I enjoyed this episode.
I hope so.
I did.
I
And
hope
I'm
it was
learning that I need to apply to law school immediately.
no, yeah, because Justice Cardozo is, like, one of the most famous judges of all time, and you were, like, right on par with his
Yeah.
thinking.
We're on the same wavelength.
Actually,
I
factually.
kinda love to get into the nitty-gritty and be like, "Well, actually, you can't do that because of this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is
I love
so nitty-gritty. I'm like, "Really, this is such a technicality," but whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyways, guys, I hope that you all have enjoyed this insightful episode with our Grace. Maybe you learned some things. Maybe you were plotting a scheme, plotting a crime, and you just learned what and what not to do.
Yeah. How to get
So,
away with murder.
literally, take this as an educational episode. Wish us luck as we start our training for this marathon, half marathon. It's gonna be fun.
I agree.
Stay tuned while we cook on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have any final regards?
I hope you guys enjoyed learning about my cases. I feel like I gave too much law and not enough storytelling, but I
No, I
had
think
to.
it was good. It was good.
Okay,
Promise.
thanks.
Welcome. All right, guys, we'll see you next week with something so fun and exciting. See ya. Love ya. Bye.